That was the reaction heard again and again as Winter Storm Fern tore across the United States, turning ordinary winter weather into a national emergency. In just a few days, this single storm disrupted daily life for tens of millions of people, killed dozens, possibly more than 100, and left entire regions struggling in the dark. And here's the part that should make you pause. Just as Fern began to fade, another dangerous storm was already forming.
Good evening, I'm Christine Johnson. Tomorrow morning will be significantly colder, and there's still a lot of work to do to clear out all of the snow.
Meteorologists are now calling Winter Storm Fern the defining winter storm of January 2026. It didn't hit one city or one state. It sprawled across a massive, continent-sized stretch of land, starting in the deserts of New Mexico and West Texas, sweeping through the plains in the south, then slamming into the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and finally the biggest cities along the East Coast and New England. Fern began forming around January 22nd and slowly grew into a powerful winter system. Winds approached 70 miles per hour. Air pressure dropped to levels usually seen in hurricanes. From space, satellite images showed a shocking sight. A bright white band of snow stretching nearly from coast to coast, revealing just how enormous this storm had become. In the mountains near Bonito Lake, New Mexico, snow piled up more than 30 inches deep. Roads disappeared. Snowplows struggled just to keep paths open. Farther south, the danger shifted from snow to ice. In states like Arkansas, Texas, and Mississippi, freezing rain coated trees and power lines with ice nearly an inch thick, heavy enough to snap poles and pull wires to the ground. Entire neighborhoods lost power in minutes. As Fern moved east, the storm turned deadly in new ways. Interstates became invisible ice rinks. Cars slid off elevated ramps. Chain reaction crashes shut down major highways. Some people were killed simply trying to drive home or run errands, underestimating how fast conditions had changed. By January 24th and 25th, the heart of the storm was pounding the Mid-South and Ohio Valley. Little Rock recorded more than 6 inches of sleet and snow in a single day, breaking a snowfall record that had stood since 1899. Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio saw layers of snow topped with thick ice. Trees snapped, power lines collapsed. At the peak, more than 1 million customers across the country were without electricity. Then came the East Coast. Washington, D.C. was buried under nearly 7 inches of snow. Philadelphia saw over 9 inches in one day, the city's heaviest snowfall since the historic blizzard of 2016. Boston and parts of New England were hit even harder, with totals topping 20 inches. Schools closed, trains slowed, and thousands of flights were cancelled as travel ground to a halt. But the real cost of Winter Storm Fern wasn't measured in inches of snow. It was measured in lives. The death toll is still being debated. Different agencies count differently. Some reports list around 106 deaths connected to the storm and the brutal cold that followed. Others still say dozens confirmed, with numbers ranging from 40 to 60. Behind those numbers are repeating tragedies. People freezing in unheated homes, drivers dying in icy crashes, families poisoned by carbon monoxide while trying to stay warm during long power outages, and residents collapsing while shoveling heavy, wet snow. Even after the skies cleared, the danger didn't end. Hundreds of thousands of homes remained without power, especially across Tennessee, Mississippi, Kentucky, Louisiana, and parts of the Northeast. Nighttime temperatures stayed well below freezing, turning every hour without heat into a medical risk, especially for the elderly, young children, and people with chronic illness. And then came the warning that changed everything again. Forecasters began tracking a new nor'easter forming off the East Coast, with the potential to rapidly strengthen into a bomb cyclone. Early projections showed up to 12 inches of new snow in coastal areas, wind gusts near 60 miles per hour, and the risk of coastal flooding at high tide. The fear wasn't just another storm, but what it would do to a country already stretched thin. Roofs were still carrying snow from Fern, trees were weakened, power lines were exposed. One more heavy storm could undo days of recovery in hours. In the long run, Winter Storm Fern may be remembered as a turning point, not just because it was severe, but because it exposed deep weaknesses, fragile power grids, overloaded transportation hubs, and communities unprepared for days without electricity or heat. Scientists are careful not to blame any single storm on climate change, but many agree Fern fits a growing pattern: more extreme weather, sharper temperature swings, and storms that push systems to their limits. So here's the takeaway. Fern showed how quickly normal life can collapse when weather, infrastructure, and preparation collide. And it leaves us with a question worth asking now, before the next storm appears on the map. If this happened again tomorrow, would your community be ready? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because what worked and what failed during Fern may shape how we survive the next historic winter storm.